Good evening, everyone.
Hi. We had a couple of technical difficulties there, didn't we?
We've still got one, I think.
Have
forgot to put that light on. Should have put that light on. We'll get there in the end.
I know we start every one of these. We've had some technical difficulties. I'm just gonna.
We've had proper technical difficulties tonight, though.
Put this light on. We've got mics now, so you can actually hear them.
You've just deafened everybody by dropping your mic on the floor.
I'm sorry.
Just spin it round. That's it.
Cool.
Light this up. There's Max on as well. Not doing well tonight, are we?
You know what? It doesn't matter.
But tonight we've got a great deal of inspiring and amazing things from the north, really, haven't we?
Yeah, we really do. And I'm so excited because our two special guests, women, two really inspirational women that, I don't know, I think you guys will really enjoy listening to, so looking forward to them.
Definitely, yeah.
Can't wait.
It's nice to have guests on. We're going to see if the tech works with having two people, so we'll see.
Yeah, so we've got these mics. But yeah, so we've got Sam Yeo. She founded Incap Journal with us tonight. Sophie, oh my goodness, honestly. It's because we've had the news that summer's going ahead and we're just both so like fuzzy-headed with it. I've got my summer top on in celebration because we cannot wait. It's just gone to our heads, clearly. So we've got Sophie Yeo. She founded Incap Journal, which is just amazing. It's really taken off, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's massive, yeah. All the news.
Yeah, all the news from around the UK primarily, but elsewhere as well in the world. And we've got Rachel Owen from the University of Cumbria, and she's going to tell us about the Society Wildlife Hide, which is brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, massively biased, but it's quite good.
Yeah, he's a bit biased, but... but first up, really, our biggest announcement, I suppose, this month is that summer is hopefully going ahead, which means that our events can go ahead. And I'm like, literally, because we've got a mic on, I'm trying not to squeal with excitement. But that means kitty wakes and donuts, bats and pizza nights, bat safaris, moths and muffin mornings, all of those can hopefully go ahead.
Definitely. So all that prep from last year, getting them socially distanced, means that even when the social distancing things still continue through, we'll be able to do them. But behind the scenes, we've been scheming and dreaming about new expedition, mini expeds and new wildlife safaris as well. So over the next couple of weeks we're going to be releasing some new events, some new safaris, some quirky ones, some very quirky ones, some not so quirky ones but still spectacular. Yeah,
I'm really excited actually. One of them you'll get a little hint of at the end of this, won't there?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So fingers crossed it comes off actually. It would be so cool. And we haven't seen anything like it either, have we?
No.
That's all the hints you're getting so far. But when you watch Kane's excerpt at the end, see if you can guess what it is. Hopefully it's worked tonight, and hopefully you're watching us on Facebook and YouTube.
And we're not just talking to ourselves.
I know, yeah. Again. Yeah, hopefully. But, feel free to chat away in the comment boxes underneath, and we'll keep checking now and again. And when our guests are on as well, if you've got questions for them, let us know, and we can ask them for you.
Oh, I think we might have some glitchy problems. There's somebody.
Glitchy? How?
So I think we might be glitching. I've just seen a text through there from Anna.
Oh, right, okay. Well, hopefully we can just
get there
battle
eventually.
Through. But yeah, so all the snow's gone, obviously. Last month we focused quite a lot on all the beautiful ice and the snow and the beautiful Narnia that had just popped up in our woodlands on our daily walk. That's all gone now. And today when I was walking through, I noticed loads of signs of spring, which was so exciting. And a couple of you guys have sent through some of your clips as well from the things that you've seen. So Brian Welch sent this through.
Which is absolutely amazing. We'll just watch. absolutely amazing footage. I would love to see. I've seen them before boxing, but like I've never actually managed to film it on camera. And we've got a commission to film hares this spring, so but like that, just absolutely stunning bit of footage.
I know.
Absolutely proper boxing.
We seen them a little bit, didn't we? Last year, some of you might remember on Bats and Pizzas.
Oh yes, of course we did.
Up at Wild Northumbrian. It was just really brief, and it's the females that box. A lot of folk think it's the males because humans, but no, it's the females, which I think makes it, I don't know, for some reason even more wonderful to see.
I think it just amazing because they're quite big animals, aren't they? And like just to see them moving around the fields and boxing away is just, it is like one really of them massive treats.
Yeah, it's a wildlife spectacle really, isn't it? Not one that gets talked about much. So we always talk about murmurations, starling murmurations and stuff, but that's a cool one. So if you've seen any hares boxing, let us know.
Definitely.
We'll go check it out when we
Because
can.
I think in the north they're having a bit of there's not as many as what there used to be. I know you say as a kid, but at Holywell I remember just there only being sort of one or two. But it seems to be difficult now to find hares.
It does.
In the north.
Yeah.
So, if you do see them boxing, definitely send your clips in, set your photographs in.
Cool. The next one is from Julie Headley, a beautiful kingfisher.
Yeah, so this is a celebrity kingfisher, this one. Kingfisher of North Tyneside. Now, normally when we see kingfishers, this blue flash, but Julie's captured this absolutely stunning bird, just sat on some park railings. And just seeing something so close, so beautiful and so close like this, and capturing it with its catch as well, the fish, just absolutely cracking photographs.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Of a stunning bird that we're normally here, but we see a blue flash, don't we?
Yeah.
But to see something so close is amazing. And it wasn't only the kingfisher that Julie sent in. She also sent this picture of a water rail. Now, water rails, again, are one of these sort of secret, mysterious little species, usually inhabiting reed beds. But again, this is a famous water rail in North Tyneside. And these are amazing, absolutely amazing little birds because they're sort of a bit like a moorhen. They're tiny, they're only about this big. They've got this bright red bill and this purpley tinge. But they're largely going around feeding on small invertebrates in the water and the reed beds. But they will go for larger things like mice. And at Holywell Pond, there was actually a report of a woodpecker went down for a bath, and the water rail came out and tried to catch it.
That's amazing.
So even though they're tiny, they're feisty, and they make these like pig-like squealing, grunty noises. So it's an absolutely stunning capture from Julie.
It is really, really beautiful. So if you've got pictures that you'd like featuring next month. We're doing these, by the way, the last Thursday of every month. Hopefully, we'll continue. So if you've got photos or videos from your daily walks, or when we're let out again from your explorations, just send them across, info@wildintrigue.co.uk.
Brilliant. So have we got a guest waiting?
Yeah, we might do. Let's see how we get on. We've got Sophie.
A new bit of kit to make us sound better, but it means that we've got to do this to hear Sophie. So we're hoping.
This is the thing with us doing literally everything. So
hoping that this
is how cool we look.
Works.
Yeah, if you guys can't hear her, let us know in the chatting away already, which is great.
Oh, I believe we have Sophie. Yes, we do. Can you hear us?
Yeah, hello.
Oh, we can hear you as well. Amazing.
Amazing.
I feel like wizards. Hi, Sophie. So, this is... Well, do you want to introduce yourself, Sophie? Go ahead.
Sure, I'll just turn everyone up. So, yeah, I'm Sophie, and I live in Newcastle, and I set up Inkcap Journal about just under a year ago, which is a journalism project really focusing on nature and conservation in the UK.
It's such a brilliant journal, Sophie. Every time I get the digests in my inbox, I get that little tinge of excitement because you seem to find the most intriguing kind of stories that are happening in nature and conservation and rewilding and farming as well, which is really interesting. I've not actually seen anything else like it, have you?
No, definitely not. I was saying to Heather the other day that there's no need to go on Facebook or Twitter or anything to get conservation news now. We'll just have to wait for your email to come through and we'll get all the exciting things, all the things that we need to know about, and all the inspiring things to keep us going as well.
That's interesting, actually, because I have actually reduced the amount that I'm on Twitter now that I'm getting InkCap, so thanks for that, Sophie. I really appreciate it.
Key service.
Yeah, rewilding us. So what's your background? How did you get into this? Because if I remember rightly, you didn't go from the traditional kind of environmental or conservation route, did you?
No, I came to it through journalism. So I did a master's in journalism at Cardiff. And then I worked mainly in climate change journalism for a few years at different publications in London. And then I went freelance in 2017. And while I was freelance, I worked in America for a bit. And I was quite inspired by the sort of diversity and depth of nature journalism in America. And so when I moved back to the UK, I thought it would be a good idea to try and do something a little similar in the UK, because I didn't think that, you know, nature stories in the UK were being covered that well. Not that they were being covered badly, but I didn't think they were being covered with like as much depth as they could have been, or with like that much seriousness, I think.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that, actually, because, well, there's a lot of kind of climate anxiety and things that we all kind of face now, because, what am I trying to say? The stories that are kind of pushed to us are on a more kind of global scale, and they seem quite hard to digest, and they seem quite difficult for us to actually get involved with as well. But what you seem to do is bring the more local stories to everybody around the UK. So I noticed recently that you had one on Ousburn, which I wouldn't usually hear about, obviously, unless I was scrolling through Twitter or speaking with the Ousburn Trust or something. So I really like that you bring those local stories where we can get involved as well, straight to your inbox.
Yeah, I think that with nature and conservation, it's obviously a nationwide story, but it's told through what happens at individual spots. It's not like climate change, I think, where obviously you do have the disasters, but it's more of a story that's unfolding everywhere through global temperature rise. Like when with nature and conservation, it's more like, you know, individualized and localized. So I think it's important to tell it in that way.
I absolutely agree, and you do a really good job of it, Sophie, I must say.
Amazing.
So, I mean, since you launched, we were even saying the other day, weren't we, how much InkCap has, I don't know, grown in such a short space of time, which is quite hard to do in such a kind of competitive conservation story writing industry, I suppose. So you've done really well so far, but I was wondering if you have any kind of aspirations for where InkCap might head.
Oh, well, it's nice to hear that. I think with aspirations, I'd love to be able to do more kind of reporting on the ground, you know, getting like myself being based in Newcastle, obviously I'd like to be able to do more stuff, you know, around the area in Cumbria and Northumberland, County Durham. But I'd also really like to be able to get a kind of network of reporters who I can commission to do on the ground reporting and visit places all across the UK, I think. So you can have that kind of, you know, nice colourful reporting that people really enjoy reading, where you have nice photographs and you've spoken to individuals, you know, not just getting on the phone to the RSPB or whatever, like really seeing it on the ground. I think that'd be great. Yeah, I think just, continue to grow it and cover good stories, interesting stories that people want to read and that extend people's understanding, I think.
I love that idea, especially that people will be on the ground, because there's nothing better, is there, than living in a place and representing your area and sharing, because that's what we do essentially through Wild Intrigue, isn't it? Everybody who knows us knows that we're mad about the north. And you need to be passionate about an area to share that story, I suppose. I noticed, by the way, Sophie, that earlier today you said that you didn't know whether you were northern enough to be canny just yet. We think you're pretty canny.
Definitely, yeah.
I've only been here 2 years. I don't think I've earned my stripes yet.
So, recently, I mean, you interviewed my manager in my other hat,
Yeah.
Lee Schofield, and that caused quite a bit of debate, didn't it, on Twitter? Naturally for Lee, obviously. You know him now. He likes to cause a bit of conversation. But a large part of that was kind of the perspective of rewilding and what a farming landscape should be. And you've spoken to quite a lot of people now about rewilding and farming and land management. And I was wondering what your take is on the word rewilding itself and the kind of practice of rewilding. Do you have any kind of thoughts on it out of interest?
Yeah, I thought that debate that unfolded after I interviewed Lee was quite fascinating, because I guess for anyone who didn't see it happen, the question up for debate was whether rewilding is a divisive term. And then this huge debate arose around some people saying it wasn't and some people saying it was. And that became the kind of argument itself. Not so I thought it was hard to deny that it was kind of a term that divides people when you have literally people arguing about whether it's a term that divides people. But yeah, I think obviously nature is in a horrible state in lots of places, and I think there are lots of programs going on that focus on fixing that in some way. But I think that rewilding has become such a broad term that it can be applied quite liberally to various efforts, and I think that makes conversation around it quite difficult sometimes. And I think it's also really important to remember the kind of people element, so that people don't feel like they're being shut out of landscapes where they've lived and worked, you know, since they were young, since their families, you know, older generations of their families. So yeah, I think it's important that people are restoring nature, but I just think people need to be mindful of the way they apply to a term that might not be universally understood by the people you're speaking to.
Yeah,
Completely agree.
Couldn't have said that better ourselves, Sophie. It's so interesting that you've not come from this other kind of traditional background, but you've admittedly, you know, wild and tree cat on, you've got such a better understanding than quite a lot of people that kind of work in the industry itself as well. And you've got that because you go out there and you talk to people and you understand their concerns and the words that they use and the importance of fluctuating language, I suppose, to get appropriate messages across that can then be translated into, I don't know, positive action. So I think that's really brilliant, Sophie.
I think one thing with being a journalist is it's kind of important in some ways to remain an outsider, so that you don't get entrenched in a particular position. You know, there are so many positions that people have, and I really admire people who have strongly held views, but I try to kind of not have any strongly held views in a way so that I can, you know, absorb information and change my mind and try to present all sides, I think.
That's perfect though, because then you bring different groups together, of course, by being that kind of neutral person, I suppose. Of course, like you say, you've got your own thoughts, obviously, and you've got your own ambitions of what you'd like to see land to be transformed into, but by remaining neutral, you do get those conversations going. As we saw on Twitter, I loved following that thread. I tried not to get too involved, but I couldn't help myself a little bit. So, yeah. I mean, InkCap is brilliant. Do you personally have any other kind of things that you're working on? Any other projects or pipelines or dreams?
Yeah, so throughout InkCap, I've been doing other freelancing. Yeah, you know, I've written a piece about seaweed for WWF magazine that came out this month. You know, a piece for Huffington Post, just to, because InkCap doesn't earn me enough money to be able to do that solely. So I've just been kind of working overtime to keep publishing pieces for other publications. But for the last few months also, I've been working on a book, which is very exciting, about landscape history and conservation. So that should be out, I don't know, in like a frighteningly long time in the future. I'm not quite used to working to these really long deadlines, but yeah, that's been very absorbing and quite a different process to journalism, where it's kind of quick, you know, turnover, new deadline, new piece, new idea. It's quite nice to be able to think more deeply about a specific topic and kind of get into the weeds of source material and, you know, bury down all these interesting holes that you don't normally have time to explore.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm really excited for that.
On the list.
Yeah, we'll have to pop along and get you to sign that, Sophie, when it's out.
You're a bit of a spoon carving celebrity now as well, aren't you?
Where did that come from?
I basically carved a spoon at Christmas and then wrote about it for about 3 publications that all got in touch with me asking me to write about it. So yeah, it's been a nice hobby though. I spent basically the whole of Saturday attempting to split a log with my my very cheap axe.
I love that. You need to write a book about it next. Clearly, you're the master at it. Well, we're kind of drawing to the end of our interview, really. So I was wondering whether you say that you're not canny enough yet, but you must have explored Newcastle quite a bit. So do you have a favourite place to visit in the area to explore wildlife?
Yeah, I think probably Gosforth Nature Reserve is sort of where I learned most of what I know about birds at all. Just sitting in the hides there with our binoculars, and it was also where I got engaged. So that's a special place.
Oh, I didn't realise that. That's pure magic.
Yeah, in the bird hide, one of the bird hides. Yeah, and then just going up the coast is always a nice experience. Yeah, it's yeah, and just all the parks. I think Iris Brickfield Park in Newcastle. I live quite near there, so often take a walk around there, see all the pigeons mainly. But yeah, it's there's lots of nice little places. I think the kingfishers have been a highlight.
Yeah. I mean, whenever we get to Newcastle, really, we tend to hear them if we don't see them, don't we? Yeah. It's a perfect spot for them.
Yeah, a bit of flash.
Yeah, but I've even seen the kingfishers at in Ousburn, just going down the river in the middle of the city as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like seeing them going up their man-made waterfalls and things. It's stunning, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's a little bit mind-blowing. So, Sophie, we want to push NCAP as much as we can because we love it, and we know that anybody watching would really love it as well, because it's quite positive as well, because we try and keep NorthWatch a little bit positive but get the main messages out that we need to, and we find that NCAP's quite like that as well. It's a lovely thing to receive in your inbox. So how can people find out a bit more about it, and how can they support you in growing NCAP?
Yeah, just it's at incap.co.uk, so you can go and sign up there, and it comes out twice a week. And yeah, it just helps. I think people tell their friends about it. Basically, it always, I think, word of mouth is the best way to get it out there, and it's really helpful.
Brilliant. Yeah, hopefully you'll get a few more subscribers from today. Then, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, Sophie. I've just had a quick look and I can't see any comments, but I think that's because our video is a little bit juttery today. So we'll release you unless there's anything that you're wanting to add.
No, that's great. Thanks for having me on. It's nice to talk to you.
Coming on, yeah.
And it's lovely to chat. We'll get out to Gosforth with those bat detectors soon.
Yes. Looking forward to it.
Great.
Thanks, Sophie.
Thanks, Sophie.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was Sophie Yeo. I do hope that I'm pronouncing her name correctly there. Sorry if I'm not, Sophie, but I get that with Devi as well. Founder of NCAP Journal, and really do look that up because it's excellent, isn't it? I can't amazing, talk about it enough. She's getting some real influential interest now as well from other nature writers. So she's one to watch, is Sophie. But next up, we have another update from Northumberland Coast extraordinaire, Tom Cadwallander. Should we just get it on? Let people enjoy it. Yeah, let us stop talking.
For people who are just tuning in, hopefully not getting interrupted, Tom's a local ornithologist, come presenter.
Yeah, come presenter.
So you've seen him on NorthWatch first, he'll be on Spring Watch, Winter Watch and Autumn Watch next. But enjoy.
I'm at the southern end of my Alnmouth patch, quite close to Warkworth. I've come across this field which has got phenomenal bird habitat in it. And there's a flock of about 2,000 linnets. I've been told it's a county record, which is something amazing really. But also in this field there's a flock of about 60 or 70 skylarks, which is wonderful. There's also reed buntings and yellowhammers. Well, this field has been created by a local farmer. And there's a guy called Bill Dodd. He's actually terrific. And Bill's here to tell us really how he's done it. Over to you, Bill.
Hi, Tom. Well, I'm in a countryside stewardship scheme which is run by Natural England, which encourages me to, as part of it, to feed birds over the winter. So this is a really poor field. The pH is about 4.5. Doesn't matter how much lime you put on it. So here we've got unharvested barley, we've got a specific bird feed mix, and then we've got a grass margin down by the golf course there. So there's some good bird habitat. It's mainly kale with a bit of quinoa and some millet in it, and it's really encouraging birds onto the field.
Well, it really makes the difference in the hungry gap, I think it's called, and it's a crucial time for these birds actually, and it just makes such a difference. And I think it's fantastic that we're doing these sort of things in an area of outstanding natural beauty. And really, you should be congratulated because it's quite phenomenal. You know, you're doing a great job. It's just a wonderful place, and it's just fantastic, really, the whole thing. The birds here are wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So, a big thank you. I'm at the southern end.
I'm sorry, Tom. Last time I had James shaking his head through, and I've just chopped Tom off on his one land. His line, his finishing line.
Gan canny.
So sorry, Tom, but we'll finish off for you, Gan canny.
Gan canny, Tom. Sorry about that.
So Tom has been producing these lockdown amblins since the first lockdown to bring a sense of the coast and a sense of joy of birds to us all digitally, which has been absolutely amazing in the first lockdown. Seeing the sea and seeing Alnmouth and seeing the coastal species has been brilliant, especially with such Tom's inspiration, isn't he?
I know, he just brings smiles to my face, like, relentlessly. So he posts these on Twitter, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Tom's Amblins.
And I think next month we're going to get an exclusive. Although if I keep messing up the switch, and then he might not send them for.
He's going to
it
go
might
to
be
that
too
Spring
low budget
Watch
for
lot.
it.
I know, yeah.
But so that one, Tom was visiting some amazing fields that have been left aside for the winter birds, with the biggest flock of linnets ever recorded in the county because of that farmer's work, which is absolutely amazing.
Absolutely incredible. And I really enjoy that Tom actually made the effort to go out there and spread the word, because there are so many farmers out there doing brilliant things. They get quite a lot of bad rep, like we've said before, but there are lots out there doing great things, and you know, they need a bit of encouragement and support, because
Definitely.
they get that bad rep.
Yeah, but that simple things that have obviously made that massive flock survive through the winter, and provide a spectacle for the locals as well. So we've got Rachel coming up hopefully shortly, but we just wanted to do a quick update from our woodland wildlife hide, and it's been absolutely stunning there recently from when we're going to top the feeders up. Fortunately, it's still closed currently, but we're going to open very soon. But the light the other day when I popped along was beautiful. You could tell the spring was coming, the sun was getting higher in the sky. You've got blue tits, nuthatch here, but the red squirrels are always coming in still, which is lovely to see. I had 3 the other morning, but the highlights recently have been the great spotted woodpeckers. And the great spotted woodpeckers, I had up to 4 the other day coming in there, which was absolutely amazing. But the stunning birds, and to see them so close is just it's really, really nice to see that red.
It's always special, isn't it?
Yeah, and they've been drumming, so the signs of spring, they're drumming. They've been chasing each other back and forth, but it's great to see them so close. But the hide, finally, so we were due to open before Christmas, but lockdown stopped us. And it's finally now going to be open from the week beginning the 12th of April. So we've got a few people in who we've had to reschedule, but there's still dates available. And we're going to do a special spring discount.
Because why not?
Yeah, because we did a launch offer, but it didn't launch, it didn't open.
Yeah.
So there's a spring discount. So in the checkout, if you put in spring 10, you can get 10% off your first booking. And dates are going fast, so if you were interested, I would definitely snap in there. But the wildlife there has been absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, so that's spring 10. The number 10?
Yeah,
so
in
spring...
capitals. Spring in capitals, and then the number 10.
We'll put it up on Facebook and Twitter and stuff after, but if you can't wait, go off and do it now. I've just seen, by the way, that Lee from Hilltop Farm has said that was excellent to see that stewardship of the farm that Tom visited. Totally agree. And Kit has said that she grew up in Newcastle and she's never seen a hare in her life until she moved to Cumbria, and she saw 3 in the space of a week. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, it must be a good luck charm, Kit. We'll have to go out with you. And James has said he has a great farmer locally supporting barn owls. Absolutely vital, isn't it? I mean, by creating those kind of rougher farmland edges, you get to support small mammals, of course, which then the barn owls feed on. It sounds like such an obvious thing, but it is something that can be quite lacking, can't it?
Definitely, yeah.
Just such a little thing can make a huge difference.
I guess your old RSPB Give Space for Nature does really work in the end, doesn't it?
It actually does, yeah. That's rural and urban.
So shall we see if Rachel is in the room, if I can press the right button?
Yeah, let's get these headphones as well.
Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, Rachel is there.
Hi.
So...
Bear with us.
Give me one of them. Hello, Rachel.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Thanks for joining us, Rachel. So give yourself an introduction, Rachel. Go for it. Big yourself up.
Well, I'm Rachel Owen. I am in my final year on the Wildlife Media course, and I'm also the Treasurer and Secretary for the university's Wildlife Society.
So you like to keep yourself busy, basically?
Oh, yeah. No spare time. Who needs a social life?
I know, right? Who needs sleep? So we've got our hide, our wild intrigue hide, but I have actually had a cheeky visit to the University of Cumbria hide, and it is amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so this was an amazing project that we did. Gosh, it must have been in my second year now. So in my first year, Kane, along with some of us students, we poached some of the land from the university to turn it into sort of more of a biodiversity area. And we started putting some bird feeders out. Oh, look, there we are. We started putting some bird feeders out, and we thought, you know what? We're getting so many birds here. Why don't we put up a bird hide? Which then sort of sent a lot of flutterings round, because, you know, we tried to get planning permission, and initially it was denied on grounds that it would promote antisocial behaviour. But thankfully the council came back and said, no, you can put your hide up, that's absolutely fine. And so we fundraised for it, we got all the equipment, we got all the bits and pieces, we got the shed, we put it together as a group of students, and yeah, now we've got this amazing bird hide which is open to all the students on the Brampton Road campus and Fusel if they want to come. And it's just an absolutely fantastic place to work on identification skills, to do photography practice, and to just, you know, spend some time with nature. Yeah, it's just been absolutely fantastic.
That's amazing, Rachel. It's such a seemingly small thing, isn't it, to have essentially... Well, it's essentially a shed, isn't it?
It is a shed. That's what we bought it as.
Just a shed with some windows knocked through, really.
Yeah, exactly. But then the amount of joy that it can bring is just like understated. So what kind of species do you get in there?
Oh, we get some really amazing species. Probably the stars of the campus are the colony of tree sparrows that we have. I mean, I don't know if people know, they're on the red list in the UK. They're they need conservation, they need protection. They're one of our farmland birds, and our farmland birds are experiencing massive declines. So it's really encouraging to see so many tree sparrows, and we've even got some breeding on the campus, which is just absolutely fantastic.
Wow.
And we also get, bullfinches, which is a lovely sight to see. I hadn't seen one of them since I lived in Suffolk when I was a kid. And then we obviously get the usual suspects of blue tits, great tits. There's a pair of green finches on the campus, which is extremely exciting. And following up on Kane's great spotted woodpeckers, I was up there today, and one was out and about, which was absolutely fantastic to see there. Such beautiful birds. I hadn't really appreciated them before.
They really are, aren't they? Especially when they're up close. And all of these photos that we're showing here, they're your photos, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, mention that. They're beautiful. I really love that bullfinch photo, actually. Lovely male there, isn't it?
Mm. But it's nice to see the female too, even though she's not quite as colourful. It is lovely just to see the pair together.
Absolutely.
I know, I'm a bit jealous that you sent me that phone snap of that male just sat like perfectly on that branch of the female. You see there. I've not seen the bull. I've heard them there, but I haven't seen them actually at the hide yet.
You'll have to get back to the uni hide and abandon the wild and tree hide.
No, definitely.
You'll have to fight me to get in.
Yeah. So that's absolutely loads of bird life. Is there anything else that visits?
We get some mammals. We do have a resident rat that I saw again today, which, no, but it's cute. I like the rat. I think it's nice. But we do also get wood mice, and quite regularly we get hedgehogs on the campus as well. That is a really good thing that we've seen, like, ever since we started doing the biodiversity. We've just seen the number of hedgehogs completely skyrocket on the campus. And obviously our hedgehogs also have experienced significant declines over the last few years. So to see them coming out and about, also absolutely fantastic. And one of the best things that we saw, like back in my first year, was a weasel, which kind of really inspired us to just keep going on doing what we're doing, because it was one of the first things that we got on the camera traps. And I mean, they're in our logo. That's how much the weasels inspired us. Our Wildlife Society logo's got a little weasel in it.
That's incredible. Because we were just saying, weren't we, that scruffy edges in rural areas are really important for wildlife, but urban areas as well, because you're in Carlisle, aren't you? I don't think we mentioned that, but you're in the city. So were you quite surprised by the amount of wildlife that was coming to the hide? Oops.
Well, I don't know, because nature is pretty resilient. If you give nature the opportunity, it will come. And just proving that, just putting out some bird feeders, providing a place in the hedgerows for them to nest, to provide some bird boxes. Nature takes advantage of anything that we give it. It's about working with nature, not against it. So, but it is always nice to see that your hard work has benefited the wildlife. So, yeah.
Definitely. You phrased that beautifully, actually, Rachel.
I know I'm probably skipping ahead from questions that Heather's written for you, but there's something else exciting coming to the campus, isn't there? Hopefully shortly. That's been living in your cupboard for quite some time.
Yes, so we have been planning for a very long time, actually, since our last chairman, who sadly graduated. Well, not sadly for him, it's very good for him that he graduated, but sadly for us that he graduated. We've been planning to put some Swift boxes up on the campus for a very long time, and they did arrive during lockdown, and we were going to put them up before Christmas, but then lockdown happened, so a bit like about your wildlife hide, we've had to wait. But yes, we're going to be putting up some Swift boxes on the campus, and we're hoping to get some playback like CDs to encourage the Swifts to come and breed on our campus. And that's going to be really exciting, because this is going to sound like a bit like a broken record. Our Swifts have also experienced a lot of decline over the last goodness knows how long. It's just anything that we can do, any space that we can use for nature, it should be used. And we're just really excited that the university has been so willing to work with us on these projects. I mean, we're asking them to put bird boxes that they're going to have to hire like a ladder or something, or some cherry pickers or something like that to get them put up. And we're really grateful that they're supporting us on this project. I mean, yeah, it's fantastic. I'm so excited.
That's incredible, Rachel. I mean, it's brilliant of the university, but it's brilliant of you guys, of the students, for actually starting that conversation, because that's all it takes. It just takes, we say Shyburne's getting out quite a lot, and that's all it takes. You just have to, I don't know, you just have to ask and get that conversation going, don't you? And you've all done that. So absolutely top work. So away from you can talk about the campus, but away from the campus, do you have any kind of top wildlife encounters that you've had in Carlisle?
Yeah, I mean, there's been quite a few. There's a good population of roe deer at the cemetery, which is always worth just going. If you're there, if you're being quiet, you might see them, and that's always a really magical thing to experience. I mean, we've also had one on campus, which was extremely exciting.
Wow.
It came out of Rickaby Park and it came across the campus. And that was an amazing sight to see. But also, like, Rickaby Park itself is also it at first glance it might appear that there's not much wildlife there, but there's woodpeckers there, there's tree creepers there, and the River Eden itself also a fantastic home for wildlife. See kingfishers there regularly. And probably my favorite of all wildlife encounters, my friend and I were walking along the Stonyholme golf course, and this thing just started running out the corner of my eye, and I was like, what's that? And it was just this massive otter just ran across the golf course and into the river. And that was we just all stood there like, did that just happen? Did that really just happen right in front of us? It was absolutely fantastic. I'll never forget.
That's so incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, just strolling around.
I don't think I'd know what to do with myself.
No.
I saw a blackbird pulling a worm out in front of me earlier, and that was quite exciting enough. But that's absolutely brilliant. I mean, you're just buzzing with enthusiasm, Rachel, and I love that. For wildlife and for nature and for protecting nature and sharing it with people. And obviously that's kind of one of the ambitions of the Wildlife Society. So is there a way that those who are watching might be able to support what you're doing at the Society and support the wildlife that you're bringing onto the campus?
I guess the one thing that we do like to do is do talks, and if we can, we open those up to the public. I mean, whilst they're online, that's a bit more difficult. We've had to restrict it to just students. But when those are back open to the public again, we'd absolutely love it if anyone who was interested could come along and just support us. And if we're doing any public events, just coming and getting involved, it's absolutely fantastic to just have people come and get hands-on with some of the work that we're doing. Obviously, with the Big C, it's been a bit more difficult recently, but anyone who wants to come along and get involved, you'd be very, very welcome.
Brilliant. How can they find out about that?
We've got a Facebook page. That's probably the best place. It's UOC Wildlife Society. And yeah, just give it a like and you'll see all the things that we're doing.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think a lot of you're going to get some interest there, definitely. I can't wait until swifts are screaming around the campus. How exciting will that be?
Unbelievable, won't it?
That'll be fantastic.
Love to get you back on for a little update later in the year, I reckon.
Definitely. Yeah. But thank you very much for joining us, Rachel.
Thank you for having me.
Sharing your wildlife wisdom and stories. And we'll get you back on when we're getting them swift boxes up. Maybe, like Sophie says, you can be an on-the-ground reporter. Getting the swift boxes up.
A lot of responsibility.
Yeah, no pressure.
But thank you very much, Rachel.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye.
So that was Rachel Owen from the University of Cumbria, and she's part of the Wildlife Society there. She is just like infectious, her happiness about wildlife, a bit like Tom, really, isn't it? I absolutely love that.
Hard graft. A lot of hard graft.
A lot of hard graft, yeah. She doesn't say it, but she works super hard. She's visiting the hide, photographing the birds there, topping the feeders up, whilst studying and doing all sorts of other bits and bobs. She's brilliant. Another one to watch, definitely. But you've seen her here first.
So from one University of Cumbria student to another. So Rachel's studying on the Wildlife Media degree. And tonight we've got the pleasure of playing a film by another wildlife media student called Mike Lavin. And Mike's produced this absolutely beautiful film following the River Eden from source to Solway really, and there's some absolutely amazing wildlife footage in here. So we're going to play it and hope you enjoy. Absolutely stunning film of a stunning part of the world. So that was by Mike Lavin, a wildlife media student, and Osher, another student, did the drone footage there. But I think there's some absolutely beautiful captures in there. The herons
Stunning.
fighting and it's just unbelievable, and
Yeah.
just representing such a beautiful part of the world so well. It's a beautiful film.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's probably worth saying that if we do keep getting interrupted, that when you can watch these back, and there won't be any interruption at a later date. I've been fiddling around with our internet this week to try and get a live Nest Box camera going, and that might be the problem. But the internet's not great in here anyway,
It's
is it?
not, we're pretty rural.
But an absolutely stunning film by Mike Lavin from Wildlife Media Degree. So keep an eye out on Winter Watch and Spring Watches in the future for his name as well.
Definitely, so talented,
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful film.
Proper, yeah.
One thing that was lacking in that video, however, was beavers. Now that's not Mike's fault, that's because we don't actually have free living beavers up here in the north just yet.
Just yet.
Just yet, but we're kind of starting to wonder when that might be. So I work for the Cumbria Beaver Group over in Cumbria, as you might imagine, as well. I'm the project officer there. And in Cumbria, last year, the Lowther estate were approved a licence to introduce a pair of beavers on their estate in an enclosure. And in summer last year, the pair were introduced. So there are actually beavers in Cumbria right now, which is really exciting. And the impact that they're having there, we'll have a quick look at soon, are absolutely outstanding for just a pair of beavers. And we've worked with them before, haven't we, on our Eurasian beaver expeditions up at the Banff Estate in Perthshire. But to imagine the impacts that they could have on a catchment scale, on, you know, I could bang on about them for ages, but I won't. Reducing the flow of water downstream during storm events, improving the quality of water, bringing wildlife back in the pools and the edges, the vegetation that they create. It's just absolutely incredible. Obviously, they're not for everybody, so we need to start getting discussions going. But that's the brilliant thing about the Cumbria trial, that because there's beavers there, we can start talking about it. And I mean, I've managed to speak to around 400 people or so directly since autumn last year. So we reckon we could do with some beavers over in the northeast, don't we?
We don't reckon, we just do need some beavers in the northeast. There's no reckoning about it.
We need to start talking about it a lot more openly. We just do, as Kane says, we just do, yeah, because they're coming, so we need to start talking about them. But for those who are interested, this is just, it's a clip of one of the videos I made from inside the Lowther enclosure, and it's a comparison between 1 month. It's a little bit hammy because I'm not the filmmaker, Kane's the filmmaker, but have a look anyway. You can see the comparison between last month and this month. They've already worked together to fell this tree, and they've started to chew off the upper branches as well, and they've actually started to drag them across the tiny burn and into their pool as a winter larder. When I was walking around with Jim a little earlier, he dashed off excitedly, so I couldn't wait to see what he had to show me. And it turned out to be this large silver birch that the beavers have quite recently felled. It's just unfortunate for the beavers that it got stuck in some other trees, so they're going to have to get to work coppicing those as well. So it's not just trees that beavers eat, they also eat aquatic and terrestrial vegetation. And around my feet right now, there's a lot of rushes, soft rush, that have been gnawed at a 45-degree angle, or snipped with those incisors. They don't necessarily need to gnaw rush. But the 45-degree angle cut is a kind of marker of beaver foraging. It's also a marker of water vole foraging, but I have my strong suspicion that here it will be beavers. However, beavers have this incredible way of creating more complexity in wetland habitats, and in turn they've found that that actually benefits water vole populations too. So who knows, perhaps in the near future this habitat could actually encourage water voles too. Okay, so this is where it gets really exciting. You can probably hear all of the squelching as I walk, and that's because the beavers have already started to re-wet this landscape in a very small way, of course, but quite a substantial way given the length of time that they've been here. So if you can see behind me, this is some of the water that's been held back by the dam that they started creating in the summer. Now, when you think back to the November video, the dam was quite short and it was quite shallow as well. But since then, we've had a lot of rain, and the beavers, what beavers need to do is hold back as much water as they can. They're, semi-aquatic mammals. Their lifestyle depends entirely on water. So they want to keep back all of that water as much as they can. So they've raised the height of the dam, but they've extended it as well. And it's really incredible the impact that that has had. Let's go have a closer look. So you can see just how much water is being held back by this small dam, and it's actually flooding out into the floodplain too, which is what the estate have allowed. Of course, dams can actually be managed if needs be, but you can imagine the impact that this might have if beavers were to be free living in managed releases in the future on downstream flooding events. So what's really important about this is that the site have allowed enough space for the water to behave naturally. They've put aside space for the water to actually stay in the landscape. And by doing that, it's reduced, or we anticipate that it might reduce the amount of water that flows downstream because it's been held back. You can probably hear me splodging along. So it's not only being held back in the beaver pools, it's actually being held back in this floodplain as well. And the University of Lancaster are assessing the impacts that that has on the floodplain itself. So the water heads all the way down there, and you can just see a couple of beaver runs heading into the wetter areas as well. Okay, so this is super exciting. When I was last stood in this exact spot, I was explaining that they were creating little runs through this area that I suspected they might start to canal because it looked like a good spot to access more food. So they've not only gone ahead and started to do that, digging it out and re-wetting this whole area, they've also created another little dam. You can see how it's all packed and pushed up with mud, and they're just starting to bring a few sticks in to reinforce it. So that's helping to keep more water in the woodland that you can see there. But also further downstream, just where the sun is in fact, they've created another little dam, and that's helping as well to keep water back in the woodland. How great is that? It has been absolutely incredible to come back here at Lowther and see the impacts that the two beavers have had in the past month. They've created more dams, they're holding more water back in the landscape, they're flushing it out onto the floodplain, and they've created more wet woodland. Wetland habitat, it's so important, and it's going to benefit a huge diversity of species come spring. And I can't wait to get back in spring and show you what has happened. If you want to keep up to date with what we're doing, follow us on Twitter at Cumbria Beavers, or get in touch with us at info@cumbriabeavers.org.uk, and we'd love to chat. Otherwise, we'll see you in the spring. So you can probably see some of the changes that the beavers made in just around about a month there. Absolutely incredible. Honestly, I'm trying to remain calm here because we've got a mic on, but I was so excited to see the pools. I've not managed to get back yet, but I think the impacts that they're going to have in the spring for wildlife is going to be absolutely amazing. I'm sorry if there's a light flashing, by the way. Many technical difficulties. I think they both look like they're going to die. We're going to be plunged into darkness any second now. So better do this bit quick. But yeah, if you want to follow that project, look us up on Twitter at Cumbria Beavers, or get in touch at info@cumbriabeavers.org.uk. Hopefully there'll be kits this year, but let's start talking about beavers in the northeast, eh? Yeah, I think we are going to be plunged into darkness soon. So on to some good news. In Ousburn, you know how much we love Ousburn. It's absolutely amazing. They've been awarded £50,000 from the North East Local Enterprise Partnership to improve the green spaces in the area, obviously for people, but for wildlife too. So that's going to the Ousburn Trust and to Ousburn Farm as well. So they're going to be, enhancing the fruit orchard that they've got there, doing some work on the pond under the Biker Bridge, enhancing the reading circle near the Cumberland Arms, loads of stuff. So, follow them as well, Ousburn Trust and the Ousburn Farm, to keep up to date with that. Yeah, and really speaking exciting. About the time, I guess, the Kitty Wakes are back. Yay! So the Kitty Wakes have started getting reported back on the Tyne Bridge, they're back on the Baltic, just in small exploratory numbers. So that means it's nearly time for Kitty and Donuts, and I, for one, cannot wait. I am so excited, honestly. For both Kitty and Donuts for improving. Yeah, we've not had them for a while, either of them for a while, and we're craving both now, aren't we? So shortly, the Newcastle city centre and Gateshead, the quayside, will be turned into this seabird mecca again, which is just absolutely amazing, the sound of it. That means the Baltic Live camera will be on in March as well, so that'll be shortly there.
So they're coming back to bring life to our city. On a bit of a sadder note, you might have seen that we were put up the petition about the netting in North Shields, the Ferry Mews colony, which is the only colony in North Shields. Unfortunately, that netting isn't going to be removed for this breeding season, so them birds are going to have to find a new place to nest, which isn't quite right, really. They're endangered species. They should be given more respect. It's a natural heritage and the well-being of local residents as well. It's not everybody. So we're going to be doing some stuff behind the scenes to hopefully make sure that that doesn't happen again. We're going to do our best to try and give a bit of a voice to it as well.
Yeah, give a voice, I suppose, a stronger voice for the kittiwakes, I guess. Just sorting out the system behind that, I guess. And
because it's the Tyne Kittiwake Partnership and Dan Turner do brilliant work, but they might need some more external parties to wade in a little bit.
Yeah.
But also Hawksley Nature Reserve in Northumberland, stunning nature reserve. I'm sure many of you might have been. Unfortunately, it's had 4 of its hides absolutely completely vandalised and smashed as well. And if you go onto the Hawksley page, they're just asking for any support to send supportive messages to the staff who have got to clean it all up. They've got some videos on there, or for people to donate if they've got any money to help with the repairs.
Yeah, and you can just imagine, though, it's the most disheartening thing, because we've just found out that we can start welcoming people back into nature reserves, and, you know, everything that they might have had planned for outreach and stuff is going to have to be reinvested now, I imagine, into the hides. And it's just such a kick in the teeth for a team who have obviously been waiting for this moment. So I really feel for them. So do send some support across in whatever way you can. You know, share the campaign, whatever you can do there, because it's not good, is it? Get back out there as well when you can, and it's a stunning reserve, isn't it? The butterflies in particular, I think, are amazing to go around and see.
Definitely. I see my first tree sparrows at Hawksley.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. With my dad.
Oh, there you go. See, it is beautiful. Also, some good news. One of the oldest cuckoos that has been monitored by BTO, the British Trust for Ornithology. It's called PJ.
PJ.
Yeah, I love that name. I think it's actually named after someone who had a particular fondness for cuckoos, if I remember rightly. He's been recorded on his journey back because cuckoos migrate to Africa and beyond in the winter. My head's going funny because the lights are like this. And they make their way back for summer, and that cuckoo call is the sound of summer for many people, isn't it? Does anybody else get super excited when they hear one for the first time in the year? So he's making his way back up now. He spent January in the Congo, and he's past the Guinean savannah, and he's just heading, they suspect, because they've got a tracker on him, so he tends to do the same journey. He's heading along the Ivory Coast to feed up, because then he has to pass the Saharan desert, which of course doesn't have a great deal of food for cuckoos. So he feeds up, passes that. That's one of the hardest places for him to pass, along with another area en route. And then he'll hopefully make his way back. I think it was Sussex that he was originally ringed. So. Nice. Keep a lookout for him. Oh yes, and you can sponsor cuckoos on the BTO website. That helps them monitor the population, because again, they're a species that are in decline. So have a look at that.
One more?
Yeah. An event to attend in March is by our friends Climate Action Northeast. They're hosting a Trees and Bees conference, which is just the best name. I do actually have some socks that have trees and bees on, so I'll be wearing them. She has some incredible speakers on there. Look it up. I'm aware that the lights might die any minute, but look it up. That's Climate Action Northeast, and you just sign up on their Eventbrite. It's on the 19th of March. Other than that, it's just summer, isn't it? Hopefully.
Yeah, so hopefully a busy time introducing people to wildlife spectacles in the north.
Yeah, we can't wait.
Talking about that, Heather put a strange picture up. I'm just going to lean over here. of me with my brand new spanking toy.
Yeah, it's not a wok or a barbecue
You could use
lid.
it as a wok though,
It's-
couldn't you? It's like a big cereal bowl.
It is actually, let's be fair.
This is actually a parabolic reflector, a parabolic microphone. And what this does is it amplifies sound. So it's a whole mathematical equation to get this disc the right size. And what it does is the sound comes in and bounces off, and then the microphone picks it up in here. But what it means is that Heather does fox ears with the kids so they can hear further and more accurately. This makes you like a superhero for hearing. So listening to literally anything, wind blowing in grass or birds singing in trees or water, sounds absolutely unbelievable. Plug this in and put some headphones on, and it just completely blows your mind and completely changes the way you see the world. And we are scheming and dreaming about an event which should be coming your way shortly.
So excited about this one.
Using this in some technology often used for other purposes. But I thought for now that because it's spring and we're all enjoying it, and I'm sure you've all heard the bird songs, would leave you with a little clip. 2 minutes of birdsong from outside our back door. Yeah, so that was just recorded just outside our back door with the parabolic reflector, and just, yeah, this time of year is just definitely good for soothing the soul.
It really is such pristine sounds, isn't it, in that chorus?
Yeah.
But we'll leave you with that. We think that's quite a nice thing to end on, really. We'll be back next month on the last Thursday, which I believe is the 25th of March. So hopefully we've got lots more about spring to share with you, and we'll have a lot more clarity about the events that we can do as well in the summer.
But yeah, again, another frantic tech problem night, but hopefully
We
you've
got there.
enjoyed it,
Yeah,
and we'll see you for the next one.
thanks for tuning in.